New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And now the good news. Here it's Friday, July the 10th. I'm Barbara Jean, your host, and I am so delighted to bring you so much good news here tonight. Well, let us begin with a little, pump up for exercise. Yes, respected cardiologist Dr. Benjamin Levine said last year in an interview that exercise needs to be a part of your personal hygiene, like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. That's because it prevents our muscular repair system from weakening with age. A new study has shown this. So beginning in middle age, muscle strength and function gradually decline, increasing the risk of falls, fractures, and slower recovery after illness or injury. The consequences extend beyond individual health. As populations age, muscle loss can increase demands on caregivers and healthcare systems. Preserving muscle function is therefore an important part of maintaining independence and quality of life. By preserving function and therefore movement, independence is also preserved, and elderly individuals who are independent are more likely to pursue other activities known to support healthy aging, like recreational sports. One of the key regulators of muscle health is a growth pathway called mTORC1, which helps control protein production and muscle maintenance. In aging muscles, this pathway can become excessively active. When that happens, it's more on building new proteins while becoming less efficient at removing damaged ones. Over time, these damaged proteins accumulate inside muscle cells, placing them under stress and contributing to the gradual loss of strength associated with aging. Until now, scientists did not fully understand what causes this imbalance. A team of researchers from Singapore General Hospital and Cardiff University identified a gene called DEAF1 as an important factor behind this process. Exercise tells muscles to clean up and reset. Lowering the DEF1 helps older muscles regain strength and balance, almost like hitting the rewind button. Well, with millions of older adults at risk of muscle decline, understanding DEF1 could lead to new ways to protect muscles and improve quality of life. According to the study, DEF1 levels rise in aging muscles. As DEF1 increases, it drives mTORC1 activity higher, disrupting the normal balance between protein production and protein removal. This imbalance accelerates muscle deterioration. Well, it's really important that we stay strong and we stay fit. My son is a fitness trainer as well, and he's got me working with weights, etc., so that hopefully we maintain some good muscle mass and therefore some good strength when it comes to balance, etc. All right, moving right along. Oh, FIFA. We got FIFA going on here in Toronto, and I'll tell you, don't try to drive through this city right now. Oh my goodness, it's incredible. All right, so an England fan who spent his life savings on a World Cup trip with his grandfather gets the money gifted back to him. Yes, an England fan who used his savings, the entire $13,000, and a company inspired by, the story gifted him the entire $13,000 back. How cool is that? Jacob Elmendinger sacrificed the cash he had saved up for a house deposit to take Jeff Goliker, 80, on the trip of a lifetime in the US and Mexico. 21-year-old has been going to matches in his hometown of Hull by his grandfather since he was a little boy, and so he now wants to return the favor. We've had an amazing trip so far. We're still in Mexico at the minute and fly tomorrow to Miami for the quarterfinal. The Mexico game was a once-in-a-generation game to watch. Jacob and Jeff have traveled to New York and Atlanta for the matches with Panama and the Congo after witnessing the historic 3-2 win at the Aztec Stadium in Mexico City. They're now on their way to the quarterfinal against Norway, and during their time abroad, the pair say they had been stopped in the street by people recognizing them after their heartwarming story went viral on social media. Among the viral readers was a US-based online crypto casino called MetaWin, which contacted the devoted grandson and vowed to pay back the money if England beat Panama by more than 2 goals. An unsolicited social media promise made by a cryptocurrency casino is not one that any sensible person is likely to take to heart. And Almendinger was skeptical from the off. When we only won 2-0, they said they would still pay £10,000 if we won against the Congo by any score, he said. I didn't quite believe it, to be honest, until I looked at my bank and it was there. It was just a shock. England, after the quarterfinals against Norway next, the descendants of the Vikings have thoroughly embraced the aspect of their culture as they've torn through the competition. Well, there's so much more to go, and I'm sure these two gentlemen are going to have a blast until they get back home, but what a beautiful thing to do. And on that note, let's take a short little commercial break, and we'll be back in just a minute. Please don't go away. There's more good news to come.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
And welcome back. We are excited to share this story. There's an old saying, cut a man's hair and he's fresh for a month. Teach a man hair and he's fresh for a lifetime. Or wait, wasn't it something about fish? Anyway, for a Queensland barber, John James, stepping off a small plane onto Mornington Island off the northern coast of Australia, he found a community that knew how to fish, but he wanted to find the red and white barber's pole. He'd need to wait for his flight home. For that reason, too, there was a horde of people waiting for him as he disembarked, hoping for a trim, a cut, or a fade. James was on the island as part of the Fade Wellbeing Barbering Program run by Australia's Northwest Remote. He was there to run barber workshops among a resilient and deeply rooted community that nevertheless struggles with listlessness and disappointment. listlessness and unemployment, excuse me, and had recently endured the loss of several men by suicide. James had spent the previous 6 months volunteering at haircutting workshops across Queensland, and despite the remoteness, he told ABC News Down Under that the locals were naturals. It wasn't long before the queue of people in need of a barber was quickly diverted from the 42-year-old barber, slightly famous on social media for his tattoos and orange hair, to his various new students. I couldn't believe how quickly they picked up barbering. They're like, let's go further. And then they were doing skin fades straight up, and then they were doing them on their own. NWRH had sent James to Mornington Island with 20 professional barber kits to give out to workshop participants when he was finished. But it was after he got approached by a local with a special request. Someone asked him if he would be willing to straighten up the dues for a bride and a groom on their wedding day. James needed a hand from his students who took care of the wedding guests while he handled the wedding party, who then invited him to attend. To be part of that emotionally and to be asked to attend the wedding after, it was incredibly humbling. I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity. It was a powerful experience, he explained, before saying he'd love to come back and see what becomes of the new barber boom, perhaps a few new salons. How cool is that, eh? There's a lot of sweet people in our world doing a lot of really, really good stuff. All right. This 11-year-old wasn't going to let a man die. Whoa, when he alone dove in to rescue a drowning man. An 11-year-old in Kentucky is credited with saving a man who fell unconscious in an apartment swimming pool last week. Seeing that nobody was doing anything about the situation, Avery Woolery took the burden of action upon his shoulders, broad in spirit, if not in size. No one was doing anything, so I put on my goggles. I went underwater. I grabbed him up, and I just felt really bad because there was no way that I was going to be able to let another man die today. He's a human being. He should be treated as such. Once Avery had gotten him onto solid ground, a friend, or so Avery supposed, came over and began performing CPR until first responders arrived at someone's calling. The man was taken to a local hospital where he remained in critical condition. Avery's father said he was so proud of his son for acting so decisively. I'm proud of him. When I was walking up here, somebody said, "Thank you. You taught him how to swim." Yes, he knew how to swim, but he knew a whole lot more. Well, good for him. All right. Well, speaking of fun stories, how about this one? How many times have you gone to a garage sale, a yard sale, you know, seeing stuff sitting on the curb, wondering what it's worth? Well, a street side painting salvaged for its frame returned after an honest man realized its enormous value. A man from Murcia in Spain couldn't believe his luck when a gallery told him the painting he found propped up against a wall in Sevilla was an original by 19th century Spanish painter Joaquin Sorolla. Yet, as soon as he saw a police note about the painting being stolen, Andres Hurtado didn't waste any time doing the right thing, fulfilling his obligation as he would later describe it. Hurtado was visiting Sevilla with his family when he saw a rather small and nondescript painting of a beachscape leaning up against the garden wall of a house. Assuming it was left for the garbage man, he took a fancy to the beautiful golden frame and decided to spare it from the landfill. The painting's true owners left it against the wall in what is fair to describe as probably a lapse in concentration, familiar to many who have tried to pack for a long trip in a hurry. The family were bringing the painting to a beach house, a little family tradition. But while they were loading their car, they were apparently also blocking traffic, and amid a flurry of honking horns, they rushed and left it behind. "We picked it up because of the frame, not because of the painting," Murtado, who passed by the house, told Radio Sevilla on Wednesday. With the help of a little AI magic, Hurtado discovered that the painting he took for the frame was actually an original Sorolla worth as much as 150,000 Spain. I'm not sure what their currency is. Hurtado couldn't believe it, so he called an auction house in Madrid, which confirmed both the painting and the value. Meanwhile, the family who lost it was frantically looking for it, not realizing it had been taken over 300 miles back to Murcia. They put up flyers around the neighborhood asking for information about a painting of great sentimental value. while discreetly reporting the work as having been stolen to the police. Hurtado was perhaps getting ready to celebrate, but later the same evening, news reached him that a painting had been stolen from Sevilla, and the picture was of the very thing he'd assumed was garbage. But it's the one I have, Hurtado told El Mundo. I immediately called the police and told them that the news was not true, that the painting had not been stolen, that I had it, and that it was lying in the street. To the credit of the police, they told him not to worry about anything and sit tight while they organized the artwork's return. How cool is that, eh? I'll tell you, you never know when you're leaving stuff on the curb, who's going to pick it up. Well, this is kind of fun. I like this story. This is a story of a quirky campaign where people are leaving $5 gift cards on vehicles left at the bar. Yeah. It's an early summer's night and you left your truck at the bar because you chose not to drive drunk. Well, guess what? Someone noticed. That someone is Montana Bar Ferries, a volunteer effort that is going viral for tucking $5 gift cards under the windshield wipers of that truck and others like it, a reward for making the right choice and not driving drunk. By the time you come to collect your vehicle, you see there's something tucked under the wipers. Oh no, but it's not a ticket. It's the cost of a coffee or latte to help with that hangover. What started as a small act of kindness, leaving coffee cards on cars left overnight at Flathead Valley, Montana bars, has grown into a nationwide movement advocating for stronger DUI laws and supporting families affected by drunk driving tragedies. Like most volunteering, it requires a bit of a sacrifice. Who wants to get up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning in Montana in February just to go give their money away to strangers? Well, Jesse, Beverly, Grace, and Kate, that's who. These 4 bar fairies racked up 142,000 views on a TikTok video of them rewarding bar patrons who took cabs home from the Whitefish Winter Carnival. Well, that's some pretty good news. Leave your vehicle at home when you go out to drink. And if you're going to take it, leave it at the bar when you go home in a cab or an Uber or a Lyft or whatever. Okay, so here's a fascinating story of a woman. A woman rower breaks the men's record. Okay, not the women's record, the men's record for fastest solo voyage from California to Hawaii. Boy, that's a long trip. As Americans celebrated his 250th birthday, Kelsey Flendler celebrated her own significant milestone, becoming the first American woman to row a boat from California to Hawaii alone. And as she pulled into Alaway Boat Harbor in Honolulu, she also set records for being the fastest to complete to solo row among either gender and the youngest woman to do so. If any part of this made at least one person feel a little bit more powerful in their own skin, I couldn't ask for anything else, and I'm happy. She said in a social media vlog entry dated day 43 of her marathon, 2,400-mile voyage. An 8-year Grand Canyon rafting guide and leader of a 4-member female rowing team that made the Monterey, Hawaii trip in 2024, Kelsey was alone on this Eastern Pacific for over a month, something she admitted she loves. She spent some of day 37 grieving for the loss of this row, having then arrived within 500 miles of Oahu. Those vlog entries on her Instagram detailed her challenges throughout the marathon row, including harrowing one like dealing with rough seas, recalcitrant currents, as well as the mundane ones of keeping away sunburn and cooking food. She shattered the previous women's record of 86 days, 10 hours, and 5 minutes, and according to Ocean Rowing Society International, but also broke the men's record of 52 days. Her 43-day transit also came within 3 days of being faster than her previous rowing crew of 4 in 2024. Talk about upper body strength. I don't want to wrestle with that girl. Oh my goodness gracious. She arrived in Oahu in time to celebrate her birthday, after which it's expected she will address the media, which she did not do after she heaved the 21-foot rowboat Lily into Alaway after 9 p.m. with a crowd of over 100 people from all over the USA there to greet her. How cool is that? What a great story. I love it. Okay, this story, I don't think JJ has the video for this, but a surprise audio is played at a wedding, and it shocks everyone, probably mostly the husband, the groom. This surprise was waiting at the wedding reception. Max Creamer and Jordan Rosenberg met at a Halloween party about 10 years ago when they were in college at San Diego State University. They got engaged on a California beach and were married this past May. At the reception, Jordan was in the middle of her father daughter dance, bobbing back and forth to God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. Suddenly, the audio changed. It was time for the surprise. Weeks earlier, as the big day approached, Jordan's parents, Lou, a video of Jordan years old describing all the future wedding. Video was about 25 years old now. It provided a portal into the magic of childhood imagination, and it held a secret inside too. Once the Rosenberg parents found it, they knew they had to share it with everyone else. So, as father and daughter swayed together on the dance floor, the voice of 4-year-old Jordan cut in. My wedding is going to have clowns, dancing with the children, and a moon bounce and face painting, 4-year-old Jordan exclaimed. Then the preschooler started talking about her guest list, and it included 3 of her friends, Gracie, Kylie, and Sarah, all of whom were in attendance as adults. The biggest surprise came next. Who will be your husband? Lou Rosenberg asked his young daughter. And as the wedding reception videographer turned to the groom, young Jordan delivered his name, Max. Max was overcome with shock and Jordan broke into tears. No way, someone yelled in the background. The unexpected recording added a dash of destiny to the wedding festivities as sounds of surprise echoed through the reception room. It turns out Jordan did have a friend named Max growing up, but she hadn't thought of him or the recording in ages. I was just as surprised as everyone else, Jordan told people. I was already emotional from the surprise of hearing my tiny 4-year-old voice. I couldn't believe what was going on. I immediately started crying and laughing at the same time. Soon afterward, the reception video was posted on TikTok and went viral, receiving more than 22 million views and 3.5 million likes as hearts were warmed all over the internet. Isn't that cool? So funny, so funny. Little kids will say the darndest things. All right. An off-duty firefighter hears desperate cries and saves 3 children trapped beneath an overturned boat. What began as a 4th of July outing on a Texas lake quickly turned into a life or death emergency. Thanks to one firefighter who happened to be in exactly the right place, 3 children were given a second chance. Jason Horn, a firefighter and medic with the Midlothian Fire Department, was spending the holiday on Alvarado Park Lake with his 12-year-old daughter, Emily, when panicked boaters began waving for help. A boat carrying 9 people had overturned, trapping 3 children underneath the hull. I just saw him dive in, Emily recalled. Without waiting for emergency crews to arrive, Horn jumped into the water and swam toward the capsized boat. Visibly, beneath the overturned vessel was poor, but he refused to give up. I went underwater, under the boat, reached up, seeing if I could grab anything, and I felt a life jacket. He pulled out a young boy who was still breathing, then immediately dove back under the boat. I took a breath, dove under again, and reached like I did the first time, and I grabbed a leg. This time, he surfaced with a young girl who was unresponsive. Standing on the flat bottom of the overturned boat, Horn began CPR. Moments later, the girl started breathing again. Still knowing another child remained trapped, Horn went back into the water. His first attempt came up empty because of the murky conditions. As other boaters worked together to flip the vessel upright, the third child surfaced from the side. He had a bunch of anchor line rope wrapped around his body. The boy was not breathing. but Horn was able to restore his pulse before rushing him to shore, where emergency responders had arrived. All three children were taken to a local hospital for evaluation and observation. Authorities said no additional life-threatening injuries were reported. The police department praised Horn's actions, saying, "We are incredibly grateful for the courageous and selfless actions of the off-duty firefighter, whose immediate response made a critical difference during this emergency. His willingness to act without hesitation provides the very best during the rescue." I hear my mic is not working. Oops. Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, well, I don't know when you lost me, but our final story of the night is a really interesting one. So hopefully a few of you stuck around for a minute while we fixed the sound. So this woman was trapped in a bathtub for 9 days and survived. 82-year-old. For 9 unimaginable days, 82-year-old Joan Rivet lay trapped in her bathtub completely alone. Instead of giving up, she relied on her faith, her determination, and an ingenious way to stay alive until rescuers finally found her. The North Carolina woman was getting ready for bed on June 1st when one backward step changed everything. She fell into her bathtub, bringing the shower curtain and rod down with her. The fall injured her back, leaving her unable to climb over the side of the tub. Her phone was outside the bathroom along with her cat Phoebe. My first thought was, oh my goodness, what did I do? Then already in my mind, I'm thinking, I got to figure out how to get out of this tub. She spent hours trying every way she could think of to escape or call for help, and nothing worked. As the days passed, Rivet drifted in and out of consciousness. She watched daylight turn into darkness and back again until she completely lost track of time. I'd see it get dark and light, dark and light. I lost track, to be honest, of the days, she said. One of her biggest challenges quickly became finding water. The faucet was too far away to reach with her hands, but eventually she discovered she could turn the handle using her foot. Then she splashed water toward her face so she could drink enough to survive. The pain was relentless. There was times I was crying out and I said, Lord, help, help, release the pain. Just outside the bathroom door, Phoebe stayed close, meowing as if trying to call for help alongside her owner. But Rivet's home sits on a mountain and no neighbors could hear them. The breakthrough finally came because someone refused to ignore a nagging feeling. Rivet's brother, Bill Lesko, lives about 5 hours away in Georgia and calls his sister every week. After several days of unanswered phone calls, he knew something was wrong. Neighbors confirmed that Rivet's car was still in the driveway, but saw no signs of activity. Lesko then asked the Haywood County Sheriff's Office to perform a wellness check. On June 10th, today, deputies found Rivet semi-conscious in the bathtub and rushed her to the hospital. She'd gone 9 days without food, was severely dehydrated, and had developed bed sores from lying in one position. Doctors treated her with IV fluids and a liquid diet before she was transferred to a rehab center where she is now rebuilding her strength through physical therapy. Despite everything she endured, Rivet's outlook remains remarkably positive. I'm warm, I'm dry, I had a shower this morning, hallelujah. They washed my hair, I have food and water, I'm content. I'm still regaining my energy, still regaining my confidence, doing what I can do and believing in myself. Believing in herself, that's what got her through. She never lost hope. All righty, well, that is the good news for this Friday, July the 10th. My apologies for our little tech difficulty. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and come again next week when we have more good news to share. And know that our good news comes from the Good News Network and from Sunny Skies, so you can go to either of those places and get good news all the time. The New Thought Media Network is here 7 days a week. We've got radio shows, we've got music, we've got everything. So be sure to spend as much time here as you can. And if you'd like, send a donation and go to ntmedia.org and hit that donate link. All right, everybody, have a great week. This is Barbara Jean signing off, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.